It's time for a Damn Good Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Shelby Clement. From corporate executive to CEO to entrepreneur and the founder of Damn Good Marketing Live, this podcast is all about digital marketing, building a business you love, and creating a brand that's authentic to who you are. So if you're ready for honest, raw marketing conversations that you will not find anywhere else, let's freaking get it. Okay, we have Cristal here, y'all. This is another episode that I'm so freaking pumped about. We talked about this before we actually hit record, whether we want to like tell you get out of your own comfort zone or like our ancestry stuff. But I was like, no, my audience needs a rare, swift kick in the pants, but also a actual teaching lesson on how to sell. Because a lot of people get very uncomfortable, myself included, with selling when in reality, like Cristal has opened my eyes to a whole nother world of selling. So y'all, please welcome Cristal with She's Made for More's movement here, and she's going to teach us every single thing about selling, obviously, that we can get to in the next 30 to 45 minutes. So hey girl, welcome.
Hello. I'm pumped. I love selling. It's part of you need to sell if you want to make money. You want to make money. You want to dive into the memories. You want to buy the things. You want to create epic things with your family. You need to learn how to sell and you need to get comfortable with it.
How often do you hear from people that they're like, oh, selling is so cringy, I don't want people to think that like I'm a cringy human?
Oh my God, every day, even like every single time I talk to a client, people join our mastermind, it's always the thing of, but what are they gonna think? Are they gonna think I'm money hungry? Are they
Ooh,
I don't wanna feel too like it's in their face all the time. It's a very common
yeah.
thing.
Okay, so like how do we dive into this, Cristal? Okay, so like where do they even begin with this process? Like what is your number one tip, or like what do you give a piece of advice for where do they freaking start?
Number 1, you have to start working with your relationship with money. And the number one thing that you have to ask yourself with money, and because selling and money go hand in hand. And here's the thing, every single one of us, you're carrying baggage with money, whether you realize it or not. And just
Yeah.
pausing, if I were to pause right now and ask you, okay, close your eyes, think about money, what comes to mind? There's people that literally like their body cringes and they feel like, oh, or
Yeah.
there's a narrative, depending on who we grew up with, you've realized like money comes easy and we spend it all the time and it doesn't mean anything, or we've learned there's not enough. There's a narrative we all have. And I think you have to slow down and identify what is your narrative with money, because your narrative with money is going to trickle down into how you sell. Example,
Yes.
I grew up very low income poverty level, and there was always the reminder of there's no money. We would go to the store and like, oh, you can't ask for that, there's no money. You know, remember, we there's no money. It was always a constant thing. So even investing in myself, the thought of like there's no money kicks in. Oh, we even putting an offer together. Oh, well, there's no money. Who's going to be able to afford? So if you're not like doing a quick little pause and taking inventory of your beliefs with money, step number 1 is we need to start there, girl. Like, we need to figure out what is your money story, because you have one whether you realize it or not. And it can
Oh,
start
that's
with 4
good.
different questions. Like, number 1, how did your parents grow up seeing money? Just asking that. Number 2 is like, how do you feel right now when you think about money? Those are the number 2, like, what was the past and what is the current version? And then the number 3 is like, what do you want your money reality to actually be? Because you
Yes.
can't sell in money if you're afraid of money.
Right.
And once you do that, then we can start asking the question of like, okay, how does this get to tie in with selling?
Yes. No, I think that that is so important because truly, like sometimes I don't even know where the stigma comes around. I guess it is like how you always talk about, like obviously your upbringing and how your relationship was with money as you grow up. But like a lot of people literally don't want to talk about money. They don't want to talk about money. They don't want anything to be associated with money. And so like you
Mhm.
have to be able to have a good relationship with money in order to actually sell the service or product that you have or any of the offers that you have. Because if you don't, or you're not healthy with that, then why would you expect someone else to be confident in buying within whatever you are selling?
Yeah. And think about it, Shelby, like the narrative, even the narratives of how we're surrounded with money. Think about it. Rich most likely equals bitch. Think about it.
Yeah.
Every single woman in a movie that's rich,
Yes.
divorced, separated, lives lonely in the house, everyone.
Yep.
Think about it.
Yes.
Everyone who has power, a woman wealthy, like she's alone, divorced, has 20 cats, even in movies, even the concept of how we are adapting to money based on what we are watching, what we are consuming. There's not a big narrative on most women are happy, married, have kids, and are rich. That is not the narrative. So we
Yeah.
have to actively choose to change the narrative because money and selling go hand in hand. I always hear people say, oh, well, I'm trying to sell this, but no one's buying. Okay, but are you selling with conviction or are you selling like a little afraid using your voice like this? Hey guys, come check it out.
Oh, yeah, that's so
Okay.
good.
And then just changing the page and like turning the next thing because how embarrassing people are going to think I want their money. Yes, we want their money. You need
Yes.
money to pay your bills. You need money to buy the dream vacation. You need money to invest in yourself and get better skills for yourself. Yes, you want money. Claim it, step into it, and let that be the leading force of, damn, I get to make money. I get to live an abundant life. I get to create these epic memories for the humans that I love through the money that I make selling my products that I firmly believe in. That's step one. Like, we need to
Yes.
take inventory of that relationship and then we can dive into selling.
Oh, that's so good because a lot of times what people are is like you're undermining your worth. You are the authority figure in what you're doing, whatever that service or product is. So, like, why are we making ourselves lesser than what we actually are worth and not saying, like, this is my offer, this is the cost, take it or leave it. I know what the results I'm going to give you. And, like, even myself, like, I am definitely at fault here too because I even do this with the membership. I'm just, or membership or just selling in general. I'm like,
Mhm.
yeah, dude. And then like my thing is I talk
Yeah.
really fast and I'm like,
Yeah.
but like if you don't want it to find, so like it's only, and everybody's like, literally, Crystal tells me this, Keisha's told me this, like, slow down and tell them, like, really, what is the benefits? Because it's like, I believe in it so much that like I want people to buy from it, but I also am like, but you don't have to if you don't want to. Like, I need to take that actual verbiage out of my vocabulary when
Yeah.
I am selling and just be confident. So what is your next, like, what is next then? So like say we have great, relationship with money,
Nice,
we
nice.
have that grasp. What is next?
The next is you have to work on how much do you believe in your offer?
Oh,
Because
good.
you believe in your offer and you have to learn to pause. Because someone who, again, the number one thing I see with sales is, hey, I have this retreat and it's going to be so good and it's going to be in the mountains and it's going to be da da da. Yeah. And if you guys want it, yeah, send me a message, let me know. And then you go to the next story and it's a story about their dog. Like, okay, so you got to keep in mind that the average attention span of of humans is like 7 seconds, and then you lost them. And they
Yeah.
have to see things on average. It used to be 17 times before I realized, oh, Shelby's doing a membership. Now it's like more than 17 times because of how fast we live life. Meaning, if
Yes.
I know bare minimum, like just keep this number in mind for everybody who's listening. If before somebody chooses to buy your product, they have to see it bare minimum 17 times. Like if that was the mentality, then selling has to be 17 times in my store before Shelby says yes. Oh, how can I make this fun? And also, how
Yes.
can I pause and just check in with myself when I'm talking? And I always tell people, practice your damn sales pitch, practice it in the mirror, practice it when you're cooking breakfast. You need to believe in your offer because if you don't believe in your offer, girl, I ain't going to believe in your offer either.
No, preach, snaps, all the things, scream it. I mean, y'all, I'm not kidding. This girl right here has literally turned my world upside down, obviously in a good way, since we met and obviously in February, because she helped me launch the webinar that we did. And then also the membership aspect of things, because she taught me how to confidently, we're getting there, sell it. But at the same time, like, when we were even like diving in, let's dive in a little bit to this. Like, if you're listening to this and say maybe you're launching something or you're doing a webinar, you're literally selling quite literally anything. When, like, what was the main key component that we were going through for the 2 hours we sat on the phone about the webinar? Like, people have to basically, it all boils down to like people have to see themselves in the offer that you are offering and how is it going to make their life easier, or what are you bringing to the table where they see themselves in your world, in your ecosystem, right?
Yeah. So I am a big believer that I always hear people say, sell to your pain points, sell to your pain points. And here's the thing why I do not agree with that. If you're telling me, hey, join this membership because you suck at social media, you this is all I'm doing is I'm feeling like you're right. I do suck at social media and I'm gonna hide in my corner and I'm not gonna take action. Now there's some people, don't get me wrong, that are saying, yeah, I do suck. Let me buy this. Great. But I'm the type of person like I want you to see your damn power. I want you to feel good and I want to give you the tools to get there. So I like to flip the script on that and say, okay, What are the things that the people actually desire? What is the result? So every single one of you, if you have an offer, what is the result that your clients are actually craving right now? I suck at social media, so I would crave how to build content in an hour. Sign me up, girl. Yes. When me and Shelby talked, they said, okay, what is the goal that they're wanting? They're wanting how to build content in under an hour. Boom. You already got a huge pool of people signing up to this webinar. You have to give them the desired outcome that they're wanting to and make them
Yes.
aware of the problem that they're currently going through. Because most of
Yes.
us do not like to point the finger at ourselves and say, I'm bad at this, I'm bad at this. Most of us live in a world where we feel, oh, I'm doing my best. I'm going all in. I'm already doing all the things, Shelby. Like, now you want me to buy a membership and do even more? Like, I'm already doing all the things. Most of us feel like we're giving it all. But when you can let them know, oh, it still gets better, build content under an hour, sign me up. Then I always talk about like make them aware of how easy it can be. Because most of you that have offers, that have services, to you, it's like a no brainer. It's a no brainer for you. Make them aware of how easy it can be and build out a signature process. And
Yes.
here's the thing that I hear most people say, oh, but I don't have a signature process. Yes, you do. What are the
Oh,
four things that got you there? That's it. I've heard this from like people who lost weight. I've heard this from people who step into their confidence, but I don't know. I just do it. No, yeah, you do. You wake up, you put on good music, your body feels good. Okay, step one. Step two. Then you think of like, what am I trying to do? What are the goals that I want to do? Okay, that's step two. Okay, step three. Then I actually like hang out with people. I find accountability partners. Okay, that's step three. Step four is like, then I actually go back to my goal and I measure it. You just figured out your 4-step signature process. You can package and put it in some type of an offer. It's not as hard as people make it think or make you think, and you're probably overthinking it. You have a signature process for everything that you do: social media, doing your makeup in the morning, cooking your meals, losing weight, whatever. You have a signature process. How do we take that signature process and now plug it into some type of webinar masterclass? Let people know, dang, it doesn't have to be that hard. Let them get excited for the journey and the possible solution. And the solution then now becomes your offer. What is your offer? What is it going to take for them to get to that transformation? Because they're already all in with you. Now it's just how do we present the offer and how do we show that we believe in it so damn good that they need it too? And you're
oh,
most likely are going to convert every single time I've walked a client through a masterclass or a webinar. I have not to this day had a client who does not convert. Because even for you, how many people did we register after that webinar? Like over 100?
yes. Over 100 in that launch and then over 60 in this like soft second launch because it was just like
Mhm.
a there. Y'all, she even taught me how to sell on stage. She's like, this is what you're going to do. Because like truly, like if you're listening to this and you follow along on my journey and you think like, oh, Shelby's really good at selling or Shelby's good at XYZ or talking to the camera. Yeah, I'm really good at talking to the camera. But when I have like to actually go sell something that I'm doing, I get so awkward. Like I want you to think like awkward turtle. Like I literally freak out. Like in real life, if somebody asks me like, what do you do for business? I'm like social media, but then I also start getting in my own head and I get imposter syndrome. I'm like, well, people think
Mhm.
it's silly if I own an agency. Like, how am I really going to help it? We live in Louisiana. They're small town minded. Like, literally, all these things go in my brain. In reality, like, I am the one that's digging the hole versus the people that are listening to me because I have the solution to provide. I just have to be confident in what we do. And I am confident, it just gets awkward. So, everybody listening to
Yeah.
this, you have to be confident. Number one, first step was money. Number two, second step is the offer that you are offering because you wouldn't be offering that offer if you weren't actually freaking good at it.
Yeah.
So, like, you are the solution that people are craving and that they need. So, why are we not tapping into like our superpower and saying, like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing? This is what I'm selling. You should buy it at this price. I know I'm going to deliver at this XYZ. So, like, I'm obsessed with this conversation because I need this
Yeah.
swift kick in the rear, too, honestly.
Yeah. And then people go into the selling process. Like, okay, Chris, so I did the money. Okay, I have my signature process. How do I sell it? Here's where I like to make selling fun. And I'm like, it's soulful selling, soulful selling. We're not selling anyway. Everybody sells differently. And I think that's a big concept you have to realize. Like, okay, somebody sells, goes and does, hey, you hop in the next 48 hours and you're going to get a promo bonus. Okay, you have to identify how do you like to buy. There's so many strategies that I could give you with selling, but if I give you 50 of them, you're going to get overwhelmed. You're not going to listen. It's going to feel overwhelming. If you want to sell something right now, just think of like, how do you like to consume?
Yes.
How do you like to consume? Because I remember even signing up for a program once, and the girl that was selling the program, every time somebody bought a program, she had a board behind her back, and she would write the person's name on that board, and she would get so excited. She would do like a dance party for them. And you know what I realized? Like, I got FOMO because I wanted to be on that damn board so bad. So
Yes.
fast forward, I was like, "Ooh, I love this. I noticed I like to be celebrated when I buy. Why wouldn't I do this for my clients?" We sold the program, we did a board, we sold over 80 people on that board, and it was like a smaller offer. But the thing was that that was one of the very first things that I launched, and it did two
Yeah.
things for my brain. One, it showed me, damn, Crystal, we can do this. And
Yeah.
two, it allowed me to have fun, where I was excited. Like, I was waiting for the next name drop to happen so I could go on social media and share the story. And so many people, and we've done that board strategy for selling out events, for selling out programs, for selling out retreats. It's just how I like to sell. But
Yes.
I really like to remind people, you got to sell from your soul. Like, what feels good in your soul right now? Is it to promote it? Is it to do graphics? Is it to talk about it? What feels good? And you have to remind yourself that you have to, like, allow yourself to actually say the price, what it's going to cost, what it's going to do, because something happens when you make your first 25, $1,000, $2,000 in your own business with your own products. Your mind starts gaining evidence that this can happen even more because you just proved to yourself that it did.
Yes. That's so good. Ah, this is like this is such a good conversation, number one for myself included, but like at the same time, like because people just have such this narrative on selling. And like it really is awesome how like you tap into like how do you buy? How are you actually pulling the trigger and buying for yourself? And that's ultimately what would get you excited or the people around you excited. Cause I did the sticky note thing too,
Mhm.
especially with the membership. And people were like, oh my God, look how many. And then I
Yeah.
actually ran out of sticky notes. So I had to do a different color then. So people were like, why is it orange and some are pink? Like, why didn't you get like, and so like it starts a conversation. So then they're
Yep.
asking what it's for. So then the
Yep.
more they ask what it's for, then you're selling them on it. And it's just like a great conversation. So like it goes back to just being like soulful and authenticity. Like if
Yep.
you don't believe in the offer you have, then you're not going to sell it in a good way because if you have to believe in it for anyone else to actually believe in it. And a lot of times what happens is that
Mhm.
they just get cringy in themselves and they're just like, I know it's a good I mean, like I am literally walking testimony of this. You get cringy and like selling because you're so cringy in selling that like you believe in your offer. So then you just end up self-sabotaging yourself because like you can't get over your own self. And so like in the same sense of like Crystal's going through the methods of how you can sell and you can sell soulfully and you can do all these things and you can really connect and make people feel like
Mhm.
they can see themselves in your offers or your products or whatever you have for them. And you are the reason why that you're not selling more. And so like if you could actually just get over yourself in this whole process, then like you would do exactly what Crystal just said. You get to make this much money. You get to
Mhm.
live this life, to make these memories, to teach all of these people because you do have a God-given talent and a purpose that people will buy from you because they want to know how to get there. And so I just think this is so interesting. I guess my next question to you is like you always talk about like how if your business model is right, you can basically
Mhm.
sell everything that you offer. Can you tap into that a little bit more and like teach them exactly what you mean by that?
Yeah, so I teach my clients, like, everything sells everything model. You should have an offer. You should make sure that your business has an offer for the person who's lingering around, just watching, but's afraid to invest, maybe a couple dollars somewhere. I believe in freebies to some degree, but I believe people need to invest, whether it's $1, $7, something. Because when something is free, 90% of your audience isn't going to go through it. And I'm
Right.
I'm
Yes.
I'm I'm one of those people. I download all these free courses. Tell me how many times I've opened them. None.
Right.
But if I've paid, I don't care, $7, $5, guess what? My butt is opening that, at least going through the modules. Even if I don't finish it, there's some type of other commitment. So I believe your business model should have some type of entry point for the person that's just lurking around, the new person. I don't really know if you're my girl or not, but they're interested enough where they have an option to buy.
Yes.
We did this with the $7 challenge. It was 7 days of content. It was 7 topics, $7. Literally on the sales page it said, "Why $7?" Because if it was free, you wouldn't commit.
Yes.
To this day, that $7 challenge brings us money. I could be doing something random and boom, $7, boom, $7. That's how I know, oh, there's new clients in my atmosphere right now because of that $7 challenge. There's other people that can the podcast, all that, but like those are the people that are already one step in. They're already trying to come into my world. $7 offer.
Yes.
Then we have the second step, which is like, okay, the person who's like, now I want a little bit more. It's a different business model. Then the price point goes to 67. It's a commitment. It's like now they can join it for a few months, a few months. Then we have like the next offer that's like $1,000. Then we have the offer that's like $5,000. So there's a business model. You have to think about your client journey. And
Yes.
you in some sense are your ideal client. A prior version of you is. So what would you have bought in when you had started in this industry? Like
Yes.
what would you need it next? And building a model and think of almost every single offer has to tie to every single offer. Meaning if you buy the $7 program, guess what? The last video of that program is going to say, hey, one more. Don't forget to check out X, Y, and Z. It's $67. You can cancel at any time. There's a progression for your clients to go through because I've had clients, and I share this with everybody. I've had clients who've been with me for like 4 years, Shelby. 4 years. They just, and some of them joke around. They're like, girl, I just work to pay you. I just work to give you all my money. Like, you just take all my money. And I used to think at the beginning, like, oh my God, that's so embarrassing. Like, don't say that. Like, I feel so bad. But then it got me thinking, dang, they're so damn proud of being in our community that they will rave out loud. I just work to pay you, girl. I just work to pay you because they want to be in here. But they have gone through the $7 program, the $67 program, the $1,000 program. They have consumed everything. In every single stage, they've come out a different version of themselves that's ready for the next
Yeah.
expansion. So, how can you, if you were to pause for a second and look at your business model, what's your entry point? Because if you're starting with like a $5,000 offer, it's great, but I'm watching you, I love you, I adore you, but there's no way for me to enter right now because sometimes our people literally have to choose between feeding their kids or investing. And they're
Yes.
going to choose
Oh,
feeding their kids. So how can we not exclude them but still allow them to come into our world and build that everything sells everything model? Think of your client journey. Who are they when they start? Who are they in the middle? And who do they want to be when they're in your highest offer?
that is, girl. Holy crap. Like, if y'all aren't getting anything out of this episode, your ears just aren't listening because, like, you have literally, even my brain's like, oh, shit, okay, let me write this down. As I'm like over here writing stuff down, I'm like, I know her. I can re listen to this podcast and write notes again, which I probably will do, obviously, too. But you said something really freaking good just now that leads me to my next question because, like, truly, like, people are scared, like, oh, once they get in my ecosystem, like, how do I get them to stay? But you literally just told us, like, you have people that have been with you for 4 years that say, I work just to stay with you because one, you're really good at what you freaking do. So number one, that's going to keep people. But like, what is your advice on like how to keep clients, retain clients over the years?
Yeah. Build a community based system. If your business is selling services, great. It's selling services, maybe it's courses, whatever. How can we create a program for the retention of your clients, meaning alumni, think graduates. How do we make them feel special? One of the things that we do inside our mastermind a lot is we go over, okay, how many people are graduating from your programs? How many people are alumni? And we put them in some type of container, like an alumni call only. And we bring an expert and we bring people to celebrate, like extra value where most people, you take their course and that's it. I've had programs where I invested $12,000, Shelby. They don't even know my name.
Yeah.
I was literally a transaction. Biggest thing for retention clients, stop letting them feel like transactions. Create something that's going to put them on the side. Even if you don't have a program where they can retake it over and over and over, how do you create a alumni place where they can live? Whether it's a Facebook group, whether it's an email list, whether it's like every so often. And it could be something as simple as like making a list of every single client who's ever graduated taking your course, bought from you, whether they bought $1, whether they bought 1,000. Maybe for Christmas, they get a little card stock that says, Happy holidays, appreciate you being part of our family. Love, the She's Made for More community. Even if they bought 7 years ago, guess who's in their mind now? Us. We launch something
Yeah.
tomorrow, they're going to be thinking about it. Like, how do we build a family like thread in your business branch for
Yes.
people who have existed in your community. And I think so many of us are so worried about the next launch, the next thing I'm selling. No, no, no. How do we service our current clients? Because again, I've had one particular guy, I've maybe given him over 100K. Shelby, like every time he does something, girl, sign me up, sign me up. But to this day, on my birthday, he'll send me like happy birthday text. I know it's automated because I know on the back end side, but it doesn't matter. The fact that
It
people
still makes
remember
you feel
little
good.
details and sign me up. What's the next thing? Just send me an invoice. I'll take care of it. Because it's how do we build a retention model? And it's really creating a container for your alumni. And it could be something as simple as a Zoom call where it's only alumni and you bring experts and it's like a small little summit. People come in. It could be something as special as like, hey, we're doing a program alumni exclusive only. The only way to join my program is if you've been a part of X, Y, and Z program. Current, if you're new to this, I'm sorry, this container might not be for you. It gives them a sense of exclusivity that we get to pass
Yes.
on to our community.
Yes. Like, y'all, seriously, it's just really basically just being a human.
Mm-hmm.
It all boils down to truly just showing up and being a human because think about like you too. Like you like to be seen. And like this goes along too
Mm-hmm.
with sometimes what I tell, like even our girls, I had a conversation with our employees yesterday about when we monitor clients' accounts and like they get tagged in a story or something. I'm like, I just want y'all to think about it like this. When you tag a brand or you tag someone in it and they reshare it, how does that make you feel? You feel seen, you feel loved, you feel honored, you feel like all these things. So like we need to make sure that we're doing the same thing for people in our orbit and the ecosystems of our clients and stuff. So it really is just like people love to be seen and heard
Yep.
and feel special within who you are. So whether you are if you are on social and they do tag you and you don't want to share it, like just reaching out to them and sending them a voice memo. Like a voice memo, guys,
Yep.
goes a long way because it truly shows that it's that person that they're talking to versus their social media manager, their assistant, whatever that looks like. I love to get voice memos back from like people that I reach out to that I may aspire to be or look up to, or I want them to be my mentor. When they like respond back to me, I'm like, holy crap, this means so much more than if it's just like
Yep.
a little text because I know it's their team responding, which still is good because I still think that that's needed. But at the same time, like you as the founder, you as whoever it is for the business or the service or product or whatever you are doing in life, if you just take the time, just like Cristal said, get a card stock, write on it, like whatever that looks like, send a voice memo. Like sometimes I'll just go through my followers and like scroll and I'll stop and I'll just be like, hey, I was just thinking about you today. I hope you're kicking butt. Like I don't know them. They don't know me, but like I'm sending them a voice memo because on my heart, I was like wherever I stop, I feel like that person may need to hear from me today. And so
Yep.
like that's just something that goes a long way. But like holy shit, girl, this is like
And
good.
And it comes down to like again, your people who've invested in you once are more likely to invest in you again. So many
Yes.
people focus on the new client, the hustle, hustle, hustle. That's fine. But girl, your money's literally sitting in your DMs right now, watching you, consuming, doing live, and you're just over
Yes.
there bypassing that person and going to find the next new follower, the next new. No, we had a 67K month. This was like when I first started, Shelby. I did a master class. I had a
Yes, girl.
$67,000 month, my first year in business. And coming from teaching, you make like 57,000 a year.
Yes.
67,000 in 1 month. My mind was freaking blown. And a lot of people say, okay, Cristal, but your business just took off. No, it's not that it took off. We followed okay, what is the problem? What is the desired outcome? We did the masterclass. We provided the value. We sold with this is the next step. We sold the destination versus selling the airplane. So many people are like, here's the airplane. It has all the benefits, blah, 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 blah. Good seating up front, windows, da, da, da. No, sell the destination. Here's what
Yeah.
we're becoming. Here's what we're doing. Focus on that. Not necessarily how many windows it has, how many seats, all the things, right? We sold $67,000. That launch not only brought in the clients, but those clients are still with me
Yes, they are.
because we've
Yes.
created that, okay, alumni program only, or alumni call this, or things. And something that I'm going to give you guys literally, this is one of the fastest way to sell out your programs. So many people think of a program, they go MIA, We don't see them on social media. And then they come back tomorrow and they're like, hey, buy my program. It's 12 weeks on how to sell. It's going to be awesome. You might get a sell here or there, but let people come on the journey with you.
Yes.
Let them come on the journey with you and watch how quickly that converts. But also, before you even launch the program, and here's like a strategy that has sold us a couple $100,000. When this program launches, what I'll do is I'd like to take a piece of notebook paper and I'll think of like the 10 people that I would love in this container. Like I would just love it if their energy, I love them as humans, and I write their name. Then I go on my Instagram and I'll send them a DM. Hey Shelby, I wanted to send you a quick message because we're working on something behind the scenes right now. I haven't even announced it yet. It's going to be called Six Figure Sales. The concept is going to be 5 calls. It's going to be an intimate container, probably like 22 people. Price is going to be 1,500 or payments of whatever X amount of seat. Let me know if you're interested. If you're not interested, no worries. I just wanted to send it your way because I know when the container starts, I would love to welcome you in here. And I just adore you. I love you. I love your energy. That
I
little
love it.
DM just did a few things. One, it recognized them because I love them. I adore them. I generally would want them in the container. Two, I'm giving them this behind the scenes scoop before I even launch. I'm giving them almost like dibs to sign up before it's out. And I'm letting them know, hey, but if you're not interested, no worries at all. I just wanted to send it to you before it even launched. I'm not making it so pushy to where, hey, sign up now before midnight, 12 p.m., all this stuff. Like, I'm giving people the choice to choose if they want to come on the journey with us or not. And I'm not
Yeah.
making it personal. If they say no, no worries. It's not the time. Okay, it'll be next time. But I'm never
Yeah.
making it personal. My program sucks. I'm not good at selling, blah, blah, blah. We've we've launched programs where it's literally 75% sold already because we've been doing the work behind the DMs. And most people, I don't know where this concept came about, where we think we're going to put a program, we're going to put it out there, and all this audience is going to run and buy it just because we put it. Girl, there's a million
Yeah.
people launching the same program as you. What makes you special from them?
Right.
Literally, how do we connect to our clients? That's it. Like, take this little DM strategy on your next launch. Start talking to people and watch how quickly your program sells before you even launch it. Because then something exciting is going to happen when you actually launch it. You're going to say, oh, welcome Shelby, welcome Crystal, welcome Josie to the program. These are all people that join behind the scenes in the DMs. People think they're joining right now as you just launched.
Yeah.
It's
It's
how do
just
you let people come in your world?
It's how do you make people feel? How do they do they feel special? And that right there, I mean, let's just take a minute and think about if you're listening to this, how you would feel if the person that you look up to before they launch something DM'd you to give you
Yeah.
first dibs, whether you bought into it or not. Like, how would you feel because you came to their mind when you were
Yes.
crafting that when they were crafting that offer? And to me, that's genius. And it's something I'm gonna do in our next launch because I'm like, wait,
Yeah.
that's I mean, I just know how I would feel if someone would reach out to me and be like,
Yep.
"Hey, I think you'd be perfect for this." Even if it's a no right now, it's that still made me feel really freaking special because they know my name, they know what I do, they know I am a super fan, they know all these things of me, and for me to be at the top of mind of them is truly just amazing. So I love that little tidbit.
Yeah. And I think even when you're doing that DM, something to add to that DM is give them permission to say no. So many people say "Oh, I've shared this tip on social media or I've shared it on a podcast." Or "Well, they left me on red." Well, yeah, but give them permission to say no. Hey, Shelby, da, da,
Yeah.
da, da. If it doesn't, if it feels like a no right now, no worries at all. Just let me know, and then I could always send you details for the next round. No worries at all. Just let me know if you want more info, or if it's a no, no worries at all. Give them permission to say no. So many times people are like, oh, they left me on red and they're freaking out and they're making it about themselves. Give them permission to say no. And everything that I
Yes.
do in life, I always give people say permission to say no. Hey, you want to be on the podcast? Let me know if it feels good. If it feels like no right now, no worries. You let me know when it feels like a good time. Give people permission to say no because it lessens the burden that you're carrying of all the assuming this and this and this. Okay, people are not interested right now. Great. Then move on. Shoot for your 100 no's. I always tell people, I know you've done this enough when you've gotten 100 no's.
Yes.
The first no,
And
you're going to quit.
And truly, if you take it personal, then you're not going to make it far because, you don't
Mhm.
know what people are going through in that moment. So maybe they can't afford it. Maybe it's just not right now. Maybe your offer doesn't make sense to them. Maybe they're pivoting. Maybe it just doesn't feel aligned. Maybe they love you and support you and like want you to be very successful, but at the same time, it just doesn't make sense for them. And like I've fallen short to this as well, where I'm like, oh, they hate me. Like, yeah, okay, cool. Like we are our biggest, worst critics, but at the same time, like we don't know what that person is going through for them to say yes or no. So, like Cristal says,
Yeah.
give them the permission to say no and understand that it's most likely majority of the time not personal to you. It's whatever
Yeah.
they're going through in their life and in their journey at that moment.
And I always share this, but I have one specific client right now in my community who I adore, I love. She's been with me for 3.5 years. It took her 2 years to say yes. She reached out about a program we were doing, and I was like, here's the details, blah, 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 blah. Let me know if you're interested. If not, no worries. She was like, oh, this sounds so, so good. Let me check with my stuff. Hey, Cristal, actually, I won't be able to join. No worries. Sending you love. If it's not this time, it'll be next time, girl. Just like making it non-personal. Second time, we rolled out something. Hey, Cristal, I would love details. It almost became a pattern. I think she said no to me like 11 times. And I was like, no worries, girl. I'll go ahead and send you details for the next one. It was always no pressure. And even when she ended up buying, she said, I will never forget her DM. She was like, girl, I keep saying no and I keep waiting for the perfect time. There's never going to be a goddamn perfect time. Just
Yeah.
freaking sign me up right now. Send me the invoice before I chicken out. Let's do this. Sent her the invoice. She came in. She's been in my community for like 3.5 years now. She's now in like my top tier. She's invested like thousands of dollars. And again, she's been in here. She's like, girl, you're never getting rid of me. Like, I'm going to be here forever. But she said no to me 11 times. Imagine if I would have been like, oh, I'm not going to reach out to her because every time I send her something, she's going to say no. I already know she's not going to buy. Just detaching from the cell. The cell doesn't
Yes.
determine your worth. If they join or not, it literally, and now looking back, I always joke when we're on calls. I'm like, and I was like, and let me point this human out because she was never blah, blah, blah. She's like, girl, the first time, like literally my roof collapsed and I needed to pay money for my roof. Second time, I was like, it was an insecurity. Third time, I was like, oh, okay, never mind. I don't really need it. I think I'm going to go through it by myself. Fourth time, I was like, no, let's just do it.
Yeah.
Like it just,
Yes.
you never know what people stop taking it personal and stop assuming it's about you. Like, how do you just make selling to have the permission to just invite people into your world? If they choose to come in, they choose to come in. Because here's the other thing that, like, if depending on if we have time or not, Shelby, you let me know. But like, bring in revenue every single day. That has to be a thing for you.
Every day. Let's go. Dive. Go dive head first.
So this is another strategy for you. If you are not making money or if you're starting to make money in your business, go to Dollar Tree, buy a calendar, go to Staples, wherever you go, buy a freaking calendar. We have a calendar literally right next to me. It has 31 days of the month, regardless of what month it is. Every single month I get in money. It's my strategy. It's what I like. I like to wake up and feel like like I just made money today. It's just a feeling that I like to do. So
Yes.
we've created payment plans for people where so many times I hear people say, oh, but my offer is $3,000. I want them to pay now $3,000. Okay. Well, I'd rather have 100 people pay $300 than one person pay $3,000. Just my personal
Yes.
preference. Because if 100 people are paying this, it's way more money than whatever that is. But build a system where you can see money coming into your life. Like, actually,
Yes.
I can tell you to the T how much pennies, dollars I have in my bank account, cents I have in my bank account, how much I made every single month. Build systems that are going to support you feeling wealthy. Want to feel good at sales? Feel wealthy. We have this calendar, everyone. I always tell this to people. Buy a calendar, put it in your wall. Even if you just print one out from Canva, that's literally how I started when I started. I printed one out from Canva. And I put like, I think somebody was paying at that time like $25 payments every Friday or something. Every Friday, I had her name on the calendar. So I would wake up and I would come see my money calendar, look at when my revenue was coming in. I was like, oh, today is a big day. Today I think back then I was like, oh, today I make like $2,000. It's a $2,000 day. But every day I knew when I felt good. And even now, we have all the names. Every single person who's on a payment plan, who's on something, their name is on my calendar right now.
I love
And
that.
when people finish payments, I just erase their name and then I create room for a new person to come in. but I know when my money comes in, I know who's getting paid. So what I like to tell people is figure out, yes, you want to call in a $5,000 client. Okay, if that's not coming in or it's not working just yet, change the model. Create a payment plan. Create something that's going to allow them to come in, because you'd rather have 100 people paying 125 than one person paying 5,000.
Yep.
And how do you bring
Listen.
in everything pays everything?
That is just genius, number one, too, because it all boils down to like your relationship with money. So like if your driver is to be like, am I making money every day? Am I actually being successful? Do I not have to have the sickening stomach? Like, am I gonna have enough money to do X, Y, and Z in my life? Like it all boils down to how do you perceive money? What's gonna motivate you to actually do that offer, sell the thing, like do literally quite literally anything in your life because you need money, like Crystal says, to live.
Mm-hmm.
Literally live, food, water. And so in general, like we have to be willing to get over our own self and literally just like I have 17 sticky notes right here right now. Y'all can't see this. And I'm her friend. Like I consider her like a best friend. And I know she'll literally answer the phone if I call her tomorrow and be like, I'm burning it down and going to work for Costco. She's gonna be like, no, we're not. And so like, but I'm still like writing all of her crap down because it's every time I talk to her, I'm not kidding. I tell her this and I tell her not to obviously take offense to it because I wouldn't, is every time I talk to her, I'm like, holy shit, I learned something new. So if you're listening to this episode and you did not walk away with 17 different sticky notes, if not more, then this community is not for you because truly, Crystal, holy shit. Like, I'm like, where can I have resources that are, have $1 or $2 or $5 or $10 or whatever that is? Because
Mm-hmm.
truly, you are right that if you aren't investing and it's another freebie, how many freebies are in your inbox
Yep.
that you have not opened? Or like even a course. I remember like I bought a course on how to make a course and I don't even know if I finished the course on how to make a course. Like
Yeah.
it's just like the crap that we invest in that don't necessarily align with us or that we think will that aren't really going to align. So just like really thinking of like different ways to be intentional. Like this was so good and you are just a freaking gem.
I love it. Hopefully they took good stuff away and they're building models that just, again, the model is like we get to make money. We get to be wealthy. I get to make money to do all the things. And like the last little things I hear people say like I'm afraid of money, or Crystal, like I have a good life, I have a good paying job. I don't really need to make sales. Okay, then tie it to a trip. Let your kids pick the next trip and let them like make selling fun. Let's make a freaking
Yes.
plan. And every time I make a sell, put the money in there and let your son see, hey, we just got 30 more dollars for our Disney trip. Hey, we just got, because then your kids get to see, dang, we get to make money. It gets to be fun to make money. And also the
Yes.
money gets to create memories. Like, how do you just tie it to something bigger than that? I was literally having a conversation with a client yesterday. I was like, okay, if you and your husband both do really good at your jobs, but you're kind of doing this side hustle, then make it a trip for you and him. But you're not
Yes.
allowed to use your money or his money. You only have to use your business money.
I love that. I love that. And you have the opportunity, especially going back to like the kid thing, you have the opportunity to now break the mold of how
Yep.
they value money and how they want to work for money. And it's like if you struggle so much right now with how you manage money or the relationship that you have with money or whatever that may look like for you, you are now setting up your kids to be like, okay, if I work hard or this could be fun, I could always be making money. Like money is not bad. Money is actually good. We can go on trips. We can buy things. We could do this. We can make
Mhm.
memories. Like you are now molding their perception of money way different than you were molded into money. So like, I think that alone is a huge takeaway from this entire episode.
Yeah. It's just how do we change the narrative? And I heard this from one of my coaches once. He said, we sold the house and it was $1 million check. It was in Orange County, Beverly Hills area. She was like, we sold and we got a real estate check for $1 million. It was an investment property. She was like, I have two little girls. I made a copy of that check and I put it on my office. And people were like, why are you putting $1 million copy of your? She's like, because I want my girls to walk in there and see, oh, $1 million isn't, it's just money. Like, what if
It's just
my
money.
girls learned to realize that $1 million was just money? She's like, don't get me wrong. She's like, I'm over here like shitting my pants. I made $1 million. Like, it's wild. She's like, but what if my girls just know, oh, it's just $1 million? Because guess what? Now their next goal would be to make 2 million. And like, I
Yes.
refuse to carry the stigma or give them the stigma that making money is hard, because truly it's just skills and how do we sit down, get really creative with it and sell out the offers. And I think that forever changed my life of like, ooh, how do we just get to have fun calling in money? How do we tie it to the
Yes.
things, everything, and
Oh,
give it a less of a meaning that money doesn't control us, but we get to have fun selling from the soul.
it is truly an honor to even have you in my life. But my favorite thing that Crystal says all the time is life gets to be this good. And so, like, if you are willing to put in the work, believe in yourself, be confident, do the damn thing, realize that you're made for more. Like, you still have to do the work. Like, she's not saying, like, you're going to get off this episode and you're going to be like, I'm making all this money because Crystal said, like, no, no, that's not what she said. You still have to actually put in the work. But, like, it really, like, she's even helped me change the narrative of some things like this. Like, sometimes we wake up or we have all these heavy things that, like, we have to deal with, but, like, we get to deal with it. Like, if you have a bad client or you have a bad day or you did like this, you get to live another life. You get to be an entrepreneur. You get to be blah, 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 like fill in the blank. Because like when we change the narrative in our mind, it changes things for you internally and it changes things for you
Yeah.
even mentally of like, I get to live this life. I get to build this business. I get to be free and do all these things I can do with my children because I've made it to this point because I know I'm made for more. So like that's my favorite thank you to you, Crystal, is like even just helping me change the narrative in my head of like, instead of, oh, this is happening to me or this isn't going the way I planned, like, no, I get to do this and I get to fail or I get to succeed or I get to make this much money or stand on stages or have a podcast, whatever it is that you're doing, you get to do that. So thank you.
Mhm. Of course. Of course. I freaking love you. And it's like truly love doing life with you.
Y'all, this is what happens when you put yourself in a room and get on the internet and you push yourself out of your comfort zone. You meet strangers, quite literally strangers on the
Yep.
internet that become like your biggest fans and like they want you to win just as much as they win and like there's no competition. And I think like a lot of times too in like the world I come from is small town mentality is a thing. It is a huge thing. And if you allow that mentality to dictate whether you chase your dreams or you do things like that, then it's going to be detrimental to you. But if you're willing to step outside of your comfort zone and be like, I was made for more. I want to dream big. I know there's other people out there that's going to help me dream big. Like I now get to say that like my really, I guess, quote unquote, as Caroline says, friends are people that are going to keep me going, even when they're not going to judge me if I text them and say, I want to burn it to the ground today. Like, this is I'm ugly girl crying on the bathroom floor. Like, whatever that looks like, they're there to help you pick up and figure out, like, what's your pivot. Like, even before this podcast, I was like, Crystal, and literally have 4 sticky notes just from her being like, no, this is what you can do, blah, blah, blah. Like, you have to surround yourself, y'all. If you are listening to this, you have to surround yourself with the people that's going to make you better and that believe in you far beyond what you can even see in yourself. Because if you don't have that, then it's harsh, but you just have to hang it up because you will not survive because this it's like the Wild Wild West out there. You got to like pull your boots up, put your big girl undies on and like get ready to tackle the world because you are meant for more, but you got to work for it.
Yeah. Yep.
I love you. Thank you for being here.
I love you. Thank you for having me.
All right, y'all. If you where can they find you? How can they get in your world? Give us our, how awesome Crystal is. Go.
I live on social media, so follow me on Instagram. You'll get a show of all my life on there. Social media is my thing. Also, we have a podcast called She's Made for More Podcast. It's on Apple, Spotify, literally everywhere you can find podcasts. Where then right there we dive more into tactics, strategy, and like the good kick you in the butt. Those I love you but moments, like stand up and do the damn thing because you're made for
Yes.
more episodes. It's all on the podcast. So main place you'll find me is Instagram and the podcast.
And don't worry, we're going to put everything in the show notes for you. But until next time, y'all, please comment, share, leave a review. Crystal, I love you so freaking much. Thank you so much for being here, y'all. Until next time, let's freaking get it. And that's a wrap on another episode of Damn Good Marketing Podcast. Thank you all so much for being here. Make sure you comment, review, share it with a friend. Come back next week. And until next time, let's freaking get it.